Hello, people, and welcome to South Coys TV. You got me, Marlon, today, and you got, as normal, Ashmatic. Are you well, my son?
I'm very well, man. It's mad freezing outside, guys. So make sure you wrap up. Get involved in the comments. It's going to be a spicy one tonight. So make sure you get involved, man. I want to hear everyone's opinions on some of these players we've been linked with, man. But yeah, how are you, bro? How are you, man?
No, I am good. I am good. After my stint on We Are Tottenham TV on Sunday, and obviously Park Lane Podcast taking over on Sunday for us, doing us a solid. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm actually, I was testing mine on Barnaby's lucky streak at the moment where you two don't have one. So here we go. Here we go. But let's bring out the guests. Let's not beat around the bush. First of all, a big welcome to another We Are Tottenham TV kind of guru, Brains. Are you well?
Yeah, all good. I'm all good. Good to be on your show. I think it's only my second time on, but yeah, I'm not actually been on with you, Molly Mal. So yeah, good to have the two Dons to run.
Finally, yeah, of course. Really? Jordan, are you well?
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. As you can see, I've got the do-rag on, so you know things are well. So I ain't got the hair out. So yeah, no, but all things are good. As you said, things are looking good in Spurs right now. White Hart Lane, we could be welcoming a few new players. So it's been a good month.
And last but not least, Jamie, welcome back. Are you well?
I'm very good, brothers. Long time, man. Sorry I missed last week, but yeah, always good, my friend. Always good. I told you we'll be doing bits. I told you from 4 or 5 months ago. Come on, bro. You don't remember this.
Hey, I remember it as well. I remember it.
I told you. Daniel Levy's a man. Remember I said that?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
I'm all good.
That's why I thought I'd get you back on, bro.
Appreciate it.
So let's get into it, right? So Man United Sunday, right? I think a lot of us came out of that probably, I'm going to say slightly disappointed. And the reason why I'm going to say slightly disappointed, Ash, 63% of the possession, 16 shots, 6 on target, 6 off target. Man United only had 2 shots on target, which they both scored from. We had more passes, more chances. But what happened? Why did we get come with? Is it the Old Trafford Spurs blues?
I think it's a case of them restricting us to not having as many high quality chances, if that makes sense. They were very narrow and compact. So what they did with like Garnacho and Rashford, instead of having them super wide, especially in the first half, I thought they tucked him in a lot and they made them like man orientated. So man, player versus player, they followed their man a lot. But what happened with Spurs, obviously we like to invert a lot. So our fullbacks invert and they exploited that. So that left a lot of space in behind. And that's what led to the first goal. I think that was their plan, to literally do quick transitions, quick fast turnovers, and then punish us on the counter attack. And so we overloaded them in that midfield. I think we dominated them because we had the numerical advantage. And I thought it was quite cool because personally I saw Bentancur and Porro swap over quite a bit. I thought that was quite cool. Sometimes you saw Porro in the double pivot with Højbjerg, and then sometimes you saw Bentancur pulling out wide as a fullback, and he helped with our progression up the pitch. And because he's so quality, like those passes were just so slick, we could just make small little triangles up the pitch and just carve them open. Do you know what I'm saying? But I think ultimately, Skip didn't have a bad game, in my opinion. I know we'll probably get into all of this, but he was playing in the Madison/Gio role, and he was playing on the left side of an 8. Now he did some bits, but just imagine if we had better quality in that position, what we could have done to United, like what type of chances. And also, we're going to talk about Werner, obviously, but I think Man United did that on purpose. They left Werner and they left Johnson with their fullbacks 1v1 on purpose because they didn't think they had the minerals to beat them. And they probably were right. And, if you look back on it, they probably were right to do that. But just quickly, I just thought Werner's a bit rusty. He hasn't played since November. And he has come back from an injury. I know he had an adductor injury. But that's what I'm going to say on the game. I'm going to let the other guests have their say, man.
Brains, how was you feeling after the game finished, the final whistle went? Were you kind of like, I'll take that because it's Old Trafford, or were you kind of looking at it going, I think we could have taken it?
It was like the last, it was like last maybe 10 minutes where we just kind of, you know, we're playing out from the back. We're playing so slow. Like that whole standing on the ball, like let's, you know, like no motive to go after something here. You know what I mean? Like we didn't want the win at all. It was you felt from the players on the pitch, you felt from even the goalkeeper, and you felt from Ange. You felt this sense of relief, like 6 minutes to go. Instead of like, let's go at it, you know, like the thing that when we're down, you know, when we're losing the game, and it's just like, let's go, you know, like they didn't have that. And I think that's, I was feeling like annoyed about it, but then I think you could tell by the relief that they'd been through a bit of war in terms of like illness. And apparently like there was a bit of a crisis where like 4 or 5 players might not have been able to play the game. And like people like skipped, like, you know, like soldiered on to even be on the pitch, you know? So I think there was a lot going on. Ange is not really one for like excuses. I think it wasn't just a case of like 4 players who are rusty, players coming back from long time out. You got players who are rusty. You got 2 debutantes. How can you really put a team together and get any kind of Ange ball cohesion? So I didn't think really that we saw. I didn't even really think that we saw much shades of Ange ball. I just thought we saw like really good players in spaces in the game showing a better quality. Like Bentancur is such a beautiful, graceful player that he kind of was able to make some things happen. Poro's got that thing about him where he can play a ball through the line and break out. We saw little bits of like just player quality, but we didn't see it, you know, like, but this is my amazing feeling and why I wasn't upset at 2-2 was all these factors together, and we still kind of dominated the game. It was like we were so hampered, we were so literally hands tied behind the back, you know, never mind having 2 defenders trying to defend, you know, a flying attacker like a broken mannequin with hands behind the back, which is impossible to do, right? We were actually hamstrung, you know, like so I think it was quite nice that us at the kind of the height of a complete meltdown of illness and hellish injury, we can just boss Man United off the park and let them away with a 2-2 draw. So I was kind of all right with it if you take all those things into perspective, you know.
Jamie, how were you feeling after it? Obviously, Ange came out and spoke, and as Brain said, there was an illness going around the camp. Do you still think they were there for the taking, or were you pleased?
Well, if you look at the stats, we obviously should have won. There's no denying that. But the facts are, we drew. You know what I mean? I think a lot of us are getting excited with the stats. The fact of the matter is, it was a 2-2 draw. But that's the facts of it. The reality is, if you look at who we had missing, I think even we have Kulu playing, we have Maddison playing, some bit of creativity, I think we would have won the game. But as a whole, 2-2 at Man United, say the start of the season, we would all took that, hands down, you know? I feel I'm not disappointed with it, you know? I think 2-2 at Old Trafford, considering our previous history, there's not too bad. Just fact watching the game, how much we dominated them, you know? Possession-wise, passing-wise, shot-wise, corner-wise. You can't not be disappointed, but it's a draw, do you know what I mean? It's reality. It just goes showing that the ifs and the buts. But the positives are, I thought no matter who he's put in the team, they've all performed. You know what I mean? I was very impressed with Skip. I was starting to really go off him, to be honest. Not to go on per players, but I was starting to go off and thinking, you know what I mean? He's just that kind of Tottenham-esque again. You know what I mean? Someone who comes through with, you know, we think the world of him, like a Tom Carroll, and then they start to come down again. But I was impressed with him, you know. Obviously, we had the outstanding players, you know, Romero's and whatnot. But I was impressed with Skip, to be honest. But yeah, overall, it was decent enough, you know. Decent.
George, for you, Man United fans coming out of that game, are they relieved to come out of a 2-2 draw?
Oh, 100%. I definitely think they're relieved. I think, like Jamie said, it is a game where we can't really get too excited over. I was a bit disappointed with the way that we played in the front line. The front line was good. I think there was some good individual performances in Richarlison and Werner. But we're going to get on to Brennan Johnson a bit later. But he was probably one of the big players that really let us down, because as I think it was Ash mentioned earlier about Bentancur picking up the pockets in the right side of the field. That's our strongest part. That's our strongest game, and that's where we tend to go to, because that's where Kulu is. And we sort of missed him massively. I feel like he's probably our biggest miss on the weekend. If we just had him, I think there would have been a lot more on the attacking prowess. But Man United fans, from the ones I've spoke to, they seem to be happy with the draw. They seem to feel like they could have got more from the game, which, to be honest, they could have. The other chance that they had, which Marlon mentioned earlier, the McTominay chance, they could have walked away with all 3 points. And that's the thing with us this season. Although I've been very happy with our performances for like the 90 minutes, that we do have these moments where late on in games, we give teams chances. And let's just say it doesn't go our way, which it hasn't in some games. Like in Wolves, it didn't go our way. We lost 2-1, and we can't afford to give away those chances, especially big points that we need, and which we're trying to like keep gaining in this top 4 race. Because I'm not going to talk about title race or anything like that. I've heard some people mention it. I think it's absolutely nonsense. We're not ready for it. Let's not try to put ourselves in that conversation and put the pressure on the team yet, because I don't think they're ready for it. But in the top 4 race, we look like we're favourites right now. We're one of the teams that are staying steady and ahead, but we've got some big games ahead, and we just can't afford to give away those chances at the end. But Man United fans should definitely be loving the fact that they walk away with a point, because we should have got 3, but the lack of our attacking clinicalness is just it was clear to see prior to the game. I think many of us probably going into game knew that Brennan Johnson, Werner, Richarlison, come on, like you're not really expecting to see we've come from Son and Kane, like 2 of the best finishers in world football, to a trio of players that are all known for not being able to put the ball in the back of the net. So it is a bit stinky. It is a bit hard to watch, but it's also fun to watch at times, because I think Werner, apart from in front of goal, he played a really good game. I was really impressed with him. I think he picked up the ball in good spaces. He was probably, when I looked at the heat maps on, he was the player that was most furthest up the pitch at times. And I think he was the most dangerous out of all the attackers. He found a way to link up with the team well, and him and Udogie looked like they could match well together. So some impressive things to see going forward, but also some negatives at part of the game too.
Ash, so you've already mentioned already. So it was, look, our back 4 was back together. It's the back 4 we haven't seen since Chelsea. Everyone was in their favourite position, but Man United tried to exploit the wing backs. They didn't get much out of Udogie, but they got much change out of Porro. If we're being completely honest about the situation, Porro defensively was getting caught, but that's always going to happen, right? If they're going to play over his side. But was it a relief to see the back 4 together, and who stood out of that back 4?
Oh, Udogie for me, 100%. And I think the reason why was because I think Garnacho and Rashford played slightly different roles. Well, not slightly different roles. They were both meant to man mark their fullbacks, but I think defensively, Rashford's not there. Like, he just kind of switches off at times, and he's a player that they purposely, for that reason, they leave him high up. So when United need to defend, Rashford stays high up. They can hit him. And Porro is constantly caught out of position. But to be fair to Porro, he did get back into position. But it's when the actual shots were happening, him and Romero are doing bad boys for life. They're putting their hands behind their back. And it reminded me of, like when we used to criticize Eric Dyer. Why are you doing that? Like, you're making yourself narrow. It's making it easier for the man them to shoot. Like, you need to make yourself big. But obviously, I just think they've been taught that. I think that's a tactic that they've been taught to avoid penalties, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, definitely. But I feel like you've noticed that from the whole of the Premier League, the way players defend those shots are a lot different. And they're always in awkward positions. You did see Romero didn't really look comfortable trying to defend that shot.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it just unbalances them. Imagine you're trying to run around with your hands behind your back. That's mad. God gave you arms for a reason. Do you understand? I understand the rules, but it's mental. I think something needs to change about that. But also, I thought Van der Ven was looking a little rusty. But overall, I was happy to see him back. It's happy to give that team overall confidence that we're allowed to play that high line. We're allowed to play the 2 at the back. That's what made the 3 push up in the midfield. And helped us to kind of control the game. But yeah, overall, your doggy just had. I know everyone else is going to talk about it, but your doggy had Garnacho in his pocket, like literally, he turned him into a little young boy. So I was happy to see your doggy not overly offensively, but defensively. I think that was the difference between him and Porro, because Porro obviously with the ball, perfect, like, do you know what I'm saying? But without the ball, sometimes defending.
Do you think Destiny meant to hit the post?
And perfect.
But he was feeling sorry for them. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna give him a change. Look, here you go, boom. But it just shows the levels and like how important he is to us. And like, yeah, we just need to keep him fit all season, because anyone else that comes in that position, unless the Dragusa, this is what I spoke about before. Maybe we do the drag in the free. I don't know, or the drag. Or we put Van der Ven as a left back, and then that goes across as a left side centre back. Romero goes right centre back. You've got options because they can all kind of interchange. But yeah, I thought, just to round it up, your doggy, man, I thought he was dope.
Jules, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to give you a player to start off with right at the back four. How do you think Van der Ven done on his first return back?
I think he done well. I feel like he probably didn't push himself to the limit, which he obviously didn't want him to do. We saw later on in the game where he picked up cramp, which was always going to happen, just only natural for a player that's not played in 2 months, and he didn't have match fitness. So I feel like we were forced to throw him in the deep end. We probably didn't want to. If Romero wasn't having his first week back as well, we probably would have started with Dragusin and took the risk because he's the most fit out of the three. But the fact that we went in with the two, didn't really see him play too bad. He didn't do. There was a few times where I see him take the ball up the pitch and maybe get himself into situations which weren't too good. But for me, overall, good performance. Very solid, very standard. There was times later on in the game where you saw him start to pick up pace and start to find his feet, and he saved us a couple of times when they put the ball over the top. So Van der Ven, for me, not a performance that I would be worried about, and I'm still looking forward to seeing him play next week against City. And without Haaland, it's going to be interesting to see what they can bring for the centre back spot.
Also, thank God for cramp. Nothing else.
Could not do with another injury.
Panicking. I'm panicking.
I think every Spurs fan was panicking. Jamie, I'm going to give you Romero. Personally, I'm going to say this. I thought he was the better one out of everyone in the back four. I thought he was slightly better than you, Doggy, but some people, like Ash, has seen it different, everything like that. I liked everything about Romero looked class.
I'd agree with Ash. I'd say Ndogi was the best of the back four. But first of all, I thought it was quite obvious Romero was going to come back and start, first and foremost. I thought it was quite obvious like he was going to come back into the team. But for me, he's getting better and better. I think out of him and Van der Ven, he was obviously the more solid one, you can see it when he's not playing, He's leading there, obviously his head hit the bar. I think he was great all round, to be honest, you know what I mean? I think I say he's head and shoulders above the rest, but I genuinely believe that. Do you know what I mean? As a centre back, there, he's solid for us. I think it's good to have him back finally. Keep him safe, keep him injury free, keep him. Keep him disciplined, and then room to a winner with him. You know what I mean? So for me, he was solid as usual. You know what I mean? Solid. I say thank God for the cramp. Do you know what I mean? Because my heart went a little bit thinking, no, not again. You know what I mean? Because obviously got the drag coming in, but no one's really seen him play the Premiership yet, you know what I mean? At least Van der Ven's are proven solid, and them two as a partnership were absolutely fantastic, you know what I mean? No one can say nothing about those two, But for me, quality performance.
Brains, I'm going to give you this man. No, I'm going to give you the man who came on for 10 minutes at the end? New signing. Everyone was new signing came in.
Dragusin.
When you saw him come on and saw his performance in those 10 minutes, were you thinking this is a player right here? Or was you thinking, I need to see more of him?
Yeah, you got to see a little bit more. But what the talking point is that it came in and they went into a back three. I thought that was really interesting.
I called it. I did call it. And Barnaby at the time said, Andrew's never done this before. He's not going to do it. And I said, I can't see him doing anything else because of the options he had. And he did it.
Well, it was one of those things. It's because he does the inverted fullbacks.
Yeah.
You know, you can see, you know, you don't really need to play where, you know, like say VDV goes into like a CDM type role. You don't need to do that. You're already doing that with your fullbacks. So this team, you can play Ange ball, has all his fundamentals of breaking through the lines, build up. You could do all of that with a 3-4-3. 100% you can. You could do it all with a 3-5-2 as well, which I actually think would be quite attractive. If you can imagine say you got Werner and Son as a 2, with the creative, you know, you can still do running the lanes, you know, because then your fullbacks just become wing backs, and if anything, that may actually be a lot better, right? Toro can actually be getting to the line. You can be getting to the line. You know, it takes away the whole, we've got wingers who are not really getting to the lane and not really playing like wingers. Well, you know, you could do the 3-5-2 then, or you could do the 3-4-3. But I think the interesting thing is, did you guys see Romero's got this moment? I love him to death, but he's got this moment in him every game. He goes in for a ball. It's a 50-50. He wins the ball, right? No controversy at all. Like, and he also gets tackled late. So he's got the foul. Turns around to win the following ball. 2-footed dive into like what the immediately you're like, oh my god, that's a red. What the hell is there's no danger. He's got the ball. What are you doing? 2-foot dive in. And it's like, it's just kind of like, it's not really an important thing. The whistle's already gone. If that was in game, he'd be in trouble again. It's like he doesn't have another level. He can't bring it down a level. So I think Drakusin is going to play a lot.
Yes.
Because I think Romero's going to keep getting red carded. He just can't play any other level. And a part of me goes, well, maybe we don't want him to play any other level. Like, we just have to kind of get married with the idea that he is that guy. And like, he can take out probably the fighting with players. He can take out the petulant side of his game. But do you really want a guy who's full-blooded, who you want like attackers to be a little bit scared of him, right? Like if you're a forward, I'm a forward. I hate when I play against teams where they've got a guy who like wants to fight with me every game. And I feel like he's the guy that you're not really turning up looking forward to playing. If all of a sudden, if you're going, look what they're doing to Romero, he's not getting carded much. He's controlling himself. He's the captain. He's got responsibility. As strikers, you're probably coming at the game going, yeah, all right. Well, let's see how he's doing now. If he's going to run around with no arms, yeah, I kind of like this idea. I say let him be who he is, but it is scary. So I think that's why you needed Drakusin, someone who's kind of on a bit like VDV, who could probably, you know, do well in a back 2. And then if you do need them for extra security, you can have them play as a back 3. But you can see they were not used to each other yet, because that McTominay chance, if you just the freeze frame of it was shocking. Like Drakusin came in, Romero was too close. We were both going for the same guy. Open hole, bang. That's a goal right there. That's just because they don't know the space that they're supposed to play in. So that'll come with time, but hard to see after 10 minutes, you know.
No, and actually that McTominay chance actually reminded me a lot of how Man United played in the first half when we played them at Argath, and you could blatantly tell they weren't used to each other then, and they were just trying to get used to the system, and Man United had a lot of clear-cut chances in that first half. Ash, what I wanted to talk about, well, Sky Sports gave him the man of the match, but I wanted to talk about the midfielders are free, but Bentancur in particular. Why did Sky Sports give him man of the match? Why was he so good in his role on Sunday?
I think it's overall football IQ. Personally, I think quality on the ball. I think leadership skills. I think the fact that he scored the goal was a big help. If you score a goal, then you might get man of the match. I think that generally works. But yeah, this is overall quality. He just stood out like a sore thumb. I mean, no disrespect, and I'm sure fans at home wouldn't mind disrespecting these two, Højbjerg and Skip. He just levels above them, in my opinion. And you could just see it every time he got on the ball came into him. He could play it first time, sometimes without even looking. I felt like he could just play that quality ball, and it wasn't even like short passes. Sometimes it was medium to long passes along the floor, at a certain pace where that could cut Man United open. Now, Maino didn't know whether to stick with him or to leave him. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think Bentancur was doing that on purpose, pulling out wide, as I said, in the transition, when he got the ball first time. It's not like he's carrying the ball everywhere and doing 100 touches. Everything he does it at elite speed. So his brains, and I think that's the difference between, I'd say, and I love Bissouma to death, but in terms of Bentancur, it's like he's got the vision with it. Like Bissouma's got the dribbling, but Bentancur's got the actual vision to see it before it actually happens. A bit like a Maddison, you know? And that creativity, even though he's solid and he wins those balls high up because he's really good at charging players down. He's got that South American side to him as well. But then when you add the quality in the final third, you're just looking at an all-around midfielder.
No, it is, Ash. I feel like you even saw it, especially on Sunday. He played all three roles of the midfield. He was playing the 6, he was playing the 8, he was playing the 10, and he took it upon himself to like play all all phases of the play. And that's the best thing about him. Like you said, compared to Bissouma, Bissouma's can play the 6, he can play the 8, but you could never see Bissouma in the 10 for us. He's just not got that line breaking pass in him. I feel like his range of passing, like I said, just isn't there. But Bentancur, I feel like we're probably going to be mesmerized when we actually get to see him play next to Maddison, because it's still something we haven't got to see. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting to say Bentancur. And to be fair, I think when we do have our full team back, I'm not going to put Bissouma in there. I'm going to say Sarr. I think Sarr on that right side in the 8 has been far too good to even think about dropping. And even his link up, like you said, on that right side with Kulusevski and Porro, I don't feel like you can get better than that personally. So it's going to be an interesting team to see, especially when we got all our players back.
Sarr is the engine. And Kulu also said, just to add to that, he said that playing with Bentancur, he feels safe, meaning that he trusts him. So you can only imagine what the other players think as well. I just thought I'd add that.
Yeah.
Jamie, I want to quickly come to you as well on Bentancur. Like we all said, right, when we had Bissouma and we had Maddison and we had Sarr doing pieces in midfield, we were all loving it at the time. It was all saying, oh my God, could you imagine Bentancur in here, right? And we've only seen Bentancur, for 3 games now? You know, Villa, FA Cup, and now this one. Is he showing us, right, what we were missing towards what basically was the end of Conte? As soon as he got injured, Conte, everything with Conte's football just finished.
He's by far in it. Like he's levels above the rest. You know what I mean? He shouldn't be back playing now. You know what I mean? The fact that he's come back ahead of time, and I think that's what Ash said. Like I think Skip and Højbjerg seemed safe with him. They seemed a bit more secure with him playing there. Do you know what I mean? And he's outrageously good. Do you know what I mean? We're so lucky to have a player like that. For me, he can do it all. He's one of them players who can do it all. To go back, I don't know. To be fair, I don't know who the 3 are going to be. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's a fan. When's the last time we had this problem, should we say?
True.
Do you know what I mean? Say,
who would your 3 be?
I think on 4, I'm going to go Bentancur, Maddison, Sarr. You know?
Yeah.
But then having Bissouma saved, he can come on, he can dribble, he can hold the ball up, he can break down, he tackles, interceptions. So I see why Bissouma was so effective. But currently on form, if they weren't away, I'd have to go with Sarr, Bentancur, Maddison. But then it's just, you know what I mean? It's a fantastic problem to have. But for me, he's such a classy footballer. He's classy. The way he just moves, you know, he's fantastic. For me, he's my best player for Tottenham. I love him. I love everything he does for Tottenham. His quality. The fact he's come back early, and what I read that he said he wants to come back and play. He wants to come back and help. For me, like he's, you know, it's good that he got the captain's armband, you know, the previous game as well. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like gave him a bit of a lift as well. But for me, yeah, he's quality. He's quality.
Brains out of everything that Paratici's done. Do you know what? This is what he should be going to prison for. 19 million from Juventus.
That's wow. That's for sure the best thing he did. Bringing him and Kulu, I remember the time because people were like, "Who's this Bentancur guy?"
Yeah, I think everybody.
He's only our best player now.
Yeah,
true.
As soon as his name, I remember like I was doing the watch along with Barnaby on We Are Tottenham TV, and I turned up, and I hadn't even met Barnaby yet, and I turned up in a subway. And I was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" He's like, "Bentancur's playing." I was like, "You're shitting me!" I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" I was so depressed to turn up for that game. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a nightmare." And then it was like, "Oh my god!" There's a, if you see him on the team sheet, you're just thinking, like, there's something can happen there. No matter how bad it feels it could get, if he's on the team sheet, like I was thinking about Skip and Højbjerg, and I'm like, oh no, oh my god, like where, and you, I don't know if you've seen that image, that little meme that's going around of like the kind of animation of the little, like, I don't know if it's a cat or something, and it's cleaning up everything, and it was like this is Bentancur the other night, because he was genuinely, he was like cleaning up after VDV, because like VDV was a little sketchy as well, and he was like getting in behind him, cleaning up. He was doing, Jamie's right. He was doing everyone's job. Like he was getting in a position. I couldn't tell which position he was. Like what was his starting position? I just feel like he's the kind of guy that, like, your manager just goes, tells everyone else what their jobs are, and he just looks at Bentancur and he's like, like you don't need to be told. He just seems to float where there's trouble is, and then he gets us out of it. Like he's a guy who can like move one way and he's gone the other. Basuma's got that same thing as well, and I think they do have a lot of similar traits. And I don't even really know what he's got better than Basuma, other than just a state of calm that just he can bounce off players. In his first game back, where it was like with the FA Cup Burnley game, I thought like he was even looking a little bit rusty, but even the things he got wrong, he got right. If you know what I mean? Like whereas some players come in and it's just they drown. You know what I mean? Sometimes like I see Skip, it's just, and he's just drowning, and you just want to say, calm down. Like you've got the skills. Like you look at the ball Skip did the other night, the sideways kind of volley through the line, Harry Kane-esque. And you're thinking, so Skip, you've got this talent. You've got the talent. And we know that Højbjerg, you have the talent. But what happens to them when they're out of form is they panic. They get just gassed inside and they can't perform. Whereas I can't remember a time, and I can't think that Bentancur would go through that. He just seems too smart a footballer, too at peace. You can see three players running in. He just does something really calm and then gets the ball back and goes. Beautiful player. Like honestly, we're genuinely. Who would I pick as the three? How crazy would this be? It's too crazy, right? But just for how we saw that first 15-20 minutes against Aston Villa, I would just love to see Bentancur, Kulusevski, and Maddison. Oh, now say you play just like one of the lower teams or whatever, I'd love to see that. You need the center backs, you'd need the back four to get solid and comfortable again. But then I just absolutely love to see that.
Wet dreams there, brains with that one. Ash. So I want to talk about the negative part of the whole game, right? Well, the negative part that came off social media and everything after the weekend, right? And some people are saying it's too harsh. Some people are going, no, this is what we expected and everything like that. Brennan Johnson. And I'm going to look at the front three. I'm not going to look at Richarlison because Richarlison scored, and actually, personally, I thought he played well. I don't know about everyone else, but I thought he played well.
He was man of the match, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
He was good.
I think Bentancur knows he's got that, and I think we know Bentancur's got that. But the work rate of Richarlison to come deep, get us out of trouble, I didn't really know he's got that. I know it can be a bit of a hassle on players, but to actually have calm and break us away, I didn't know that. So I
think that's what surprised everyone. I think this is what we've kind of wanted to accept, because even if he didn't score on Sunday, I think that gameplay that he produced was probably exceptional from him. And I don't know if it's because he scored the goal early on that then he relaxed, because that's the first time he scored that early, and that's the first time we've seen that sort of performance. So hopefully he keeps it up. But Brennan Johnson was a lot on everybody's lips on Sunday and saying he had a poor game, which I think all of us can admit that. But did Man United see him as a threat? Because they said the two things that surprised them, a lot of them predicting, was Eriksen from McTominay, but they were very surprised that Wan-Bissaka moved to the left. Was this a big key reason to why Johnson had the game he did, or was it just that way? And if he played against Dalot, it would have been exactly the same.
No, I think Wan-Bissaka, in terms of defending, he's meant to be that 1v1 super kid, like in terms of winning those duels, winning those battles. Like you can't get past him. He was called the Spider at Palace. Like going forward, I know a lot of United fans, they're not happy with him in possession. And I don't think he's too bad in possession, but I think that's where they think Dalot should maybe sometimes fill in for him. But the fact that, yeah, maybe that was a tactical move by Ten Hag to put Wan-Bissaka there. I just look back when Brennan Johnson first came to the club, and I had my own, thoughts on him. Did a bit of analysis. When he came on against Sheffield United, I was like, whoa. And he got that goal, but it was ruled off offside. I was like, okay, that's how we're using him. Yeah. All right. Then Arsenal started. Wasn't expecting that. Played against Arsenal. I thought he was causing them a lot of trouble. Then he got the hamstring injury. Now, that was key. I feel like with Brennan, ever since he's got that hammy, it's like he doesn't want to fully go, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like he's got the pace, but he takes a while before he gets up to full speed, instead of like being explosive, like boom, knock the ball past the player and then gone. So I don't know if that's affecting his confidence or his ability just to do that half turn or just to turn his player, because literally that's all we want as fans, to get the ball into feet, turn your man, and then run into space, because there's a lot of space to run to. Like in terms of like getting into like, running in behind, he does that still, but the crossing, I think that's where people are upset. The crossing was below par. There was one cross he did make, and it went to Werner, and Werner headed it back across the goal, and Johnny Evans got a header to it. So he did get one cross off, but it's not good enough. As Spurs fans, we want the world or more. Do you know what I mean? We want variety. We want across the floor. We want in the air for Richie to finish off, because that's his strength and his heading ability. And so a lot of fans are criticizing or critiquing his IQ in terms of when to deliver those crosses in. I tried to look at it on a game-by-game basis. I thought he had a poor game. I don't think he contributed as much. There was one chance he had a shot, but it was very tame. I would have preferred if he went for his side foot rather than lacing it, and try and hit the corners, because I think from that right-hand side, he can actually do that. He can actually hit the ball across the box. I think maybe that's the reason why we were looking at a Brennan Johnson, someone that could attack from the right, not only cross, but shoot from that right-hand side, rather than having an inverted player with a left foot coming inside and then shooting, being predictable. Because at the time, the critique for Kulu was that he was too predictable, coming on his left foot. Defenders knew he didn't want to go on his right, etc. Whereas Brennan, you can't say that with him. You can't say that with him. But he's just, for whatever reason, he's not doing it. He's holding himself back, and I've seen that with a lot of players for hamstrings. But I don't know if, like Werner, he needs to get up to speed with the system and the fitness to go along with it. But yeah, I mean, that's how I saw it, man. That's how I look at the moment.
George, Brennan Johnson, £50 million well spent, or kind of going, this is all we're going to get from him?
The bane of my life, man. I just sit back, and every time I watch him, it's just so frustrating. Like, I thought Richarlison was frustrating, but with Richarlison, at least like he's going to cause some problems for the defense, because just like he's erratic to watch, he's erratic because the defenders don't know what he's going to do with Richarlison. So at least he's got that about his game where he's very unpredictable, because that's just about him. But Brennan Johnson, for me, is just so, like you say, he doesn't have the confidence. He still looks like the bright lights are in his eyes. He's like, still, I'm at Tottenham. Like, it's just it's just too big for him at the moment. I don't know if it's that and he needs a couple years to settle in or something like that, but I just haven't seen enough from him to be convinced that he's gonna become a top player that justifies his price tag. Right now, for me, it's gonna be money down the drain. Looking at it, look, I don't want to judge a young player too soon, and I'm not going to count him out and say that he's finished, because no player at 22-year-old is finished. They've always got time to improve, and I'd love for him to prove me wrong. But at this moment in time, he just doesn't show me anything about his game. I think his take-ons are poor. I think his finishing is poor. I think his crossing is poor. His decision-making is poor. And with having all of these problems, as well as not having the confidence to even try most of these, is where the issue is, because he doesn't even try to take players on. He looks like he runs forward and then does what Bukayo Saka gets a lot of credit, a lot of criticism for recently. He cuts back and just it goes for the easy pass. He comes to gives it to Porro. We watch Porro, a right back, take players on all the time, running through the middle, running down the wings, running down the flanks, and I personally, I'd much rather see him on the right wing than watch Johnson at the moment. I'm not saying that I'd want to change the system for him, but that I reckon if you put Porro out on the right wing, you'd get a better performance out of him, because Johnson just doesn't look like he's a shell of himself. He just looks like a shell of himself. But yeah, money wasted. I really do feel like when Kulu comes back, Johnson needs to spend some time on the bench, sort of just getting minutes, impacting games, because maybe I feel like when the games are a bit when he's coming on at 60-70 minutes and he's got that extra burst of pace on top of the tired defenders, he might feel a bit more confidence to try a bit more and have a bit more space and time to do things. But with him starting, I feel like our team just lacks serious creativity. And on Sunday, he was like we supported him as a main outlet and he didn't provide us anything. So on the end of creating chances, no faith in him at all.
Jamie, I wanted to bring up something as well with Brennan Johnson. Do you think he expected to play as many minutes as he has done since he joined? Because of all the injuries and stuff, he's just been thrown kind of in the deep end since he come back from injury. And actually, he hasn't been able to settle himself into the team. He had like the first 2 games, then he got injured, and then he come back, and then across the front three, there's been so many injuries that he's had to play right, left.
Yeah, well, you like to think he come expecting to play. Do you know what I mean? You like to think that he came expecting to play. I don't think it's his fault he cost 50 million. Do you know what I mean? That's not his fault.
Yeah.
But I think he'll come good at some point. I think he's got good skill set. He's fast. He gets in between. He's still young, but his decision making is extremely poor. You know what I mean? I think he will become good, I think. But the only but to that, I believe, Marlon, is with a full fit team and squad, where is he? Do you know what I mean? He's making cameos at best. At best.
True. So
I think in essence, you know, he's still young. He had his opportunity to take it. I don't think he's took his opportunity that well. You know, you see glimpses. I think it's against Burnley. You see a few glimpses. He's finding good space coming out, but his decision making, I think, is extremely poor. You know, I think what George said, he's come from Forest, he comes to Tottenham. It's a different ball game. You know, there's a big expectation on him. You know, coming this youngster, he's coming in £50 million is what Ange wanted. But I do think he'll come good. I think next year we'll start to see a few goals in him here and there. But it's just when he gets these chances, he has to take them. You know. I don't think. I think it's too early to see the jury's out on him. You know, I do generally think he'll come good, but the only concern I have is with a full squad, where's he fit in? You know, he's behind Werner now, isn't he? Let's be honest. You know what I mean? He's behind Werner now. Do you know what I mean?
He's behind Solomon when Solomon comes back too.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Solomon as well. So.
That's a tough call. That is a tough call.
Because not seen enough from Solomon either.
I was going to say I haven't seen enough from Solomon either. I get what you mean.
I just feel like Solomon, when in an Ange system, he wants a player that can take a man on.
Yeah, I agree.
Even in the small glimpses we saw, he's not afraid to just run at defenders and cut in and shoot. And that's something that we need in our team, creating so many chances.
Yeah, I feel like that, but I feel like I genuinely think that the injury thing is a big issue. Like, I think it's I'd call it like Gareth Bale syndrome. Like, Bale was always, every time he was injured, he was always like rushed back, and then he would get injured again, and then he would get injured again, and then like it created something in his mind. You could see like this guy could like kick the ball and kill anyone, and then you could see slowly but surely he just lost that, and he lost that little, you know, when he came back to Spurs, you could see he was just so scared to run. He just, you know, he's like in it, but there was this pressure to play him. You can see Mourinho was like, he's not ready. Like, why? Everyone's forcing me to play him. He's not ready. You know, and then he would play him, and you see, it just wasn't the same guy. Of course, he could hit the ball, he could do anything with it, but he just couldn't run. And I think, like, I liked what I saw from Johnson at the start when he first came, just like doing the right things on the ball. Like he had that lovely little, like, kept the ball alive, you know, created a nice little move, and then I think he got like the assist maybe for a Son goal. And then he was like he was really kind of promising against Arsenal, and then it just felt like that hamstrings are just horrible, man. They really are. They just completely saturate all your confidence. And then like he came back so quick from that as well. And I think that's got this problem, this knock-on effect of not having a big enough squad and then having to rush players that you can see how many times, we end up having this massive injury issue because we just could not rest any one player. So they're having to play through constant knocks. Shudder to think how many potential injuries Son has played through, So I think we're all right as well. It's like, with the midfield that we could potentially see, I just don't think there's any space for him because Kulu will definitely play. Kulu will definitely play. So then that takes out the side. I just think he goes out. I think Werner had enough promise, and he will just do so much with his work rate, and he will just kind of like run a line really fast, and he'll be so busy that I think Werner's work rate will like get him in the team ahead of Johnson, which is unfortunate. So I do think Johnson needs a little bit of time out to actually get the load building on the legs like up. You know what I mean? Actually build himself into like the guy who can be himself, like explosive with pace. We've seen him in the Prem murdering guys down the wing for Nottingham Forest. That's what we want here. That's why he was brought here. Shouldn't have been brought here for 50. That was insane. He should have been brought here for like 35, 40 at max, but 35, including the Prem tax, But I just think definitely not rule him out yet. He's got far too much promise to, so when you know a player's got so much promise and they're just not doing it, you can't, and there's an injury around the time when they're not doing it, you kind of have to put two and two together and go, all right, let's just give him I think George is 100% right. Bring him on in games, let him have that energy, let him like get more assists and build up his confidence, get the fitness up, and then like look towards maybe starting him towards the end of the season if we have more issues. But I think that this is the great problems we're going to have, when after the summer window as well, is that and I think we're actually going to go in for some more players in those positions as well. I just think, and because we're going to obviously get rid of like Gale and a few other players, I think ideally we're going to build a squad where everyone is competing at a really top level. And so what you need is a player like him, who's a confident player. He's got to be on his game, because I think we can do it this season because we're threadbare. But like next season, I think it's going to be like 3 or 4 chances, and then you're out for a while. You might not get back in for a little while as well. So he's got a little bit of a chance to still, like turn it around next game. Maybe like we need pace against City, so. I think every pro player should be like this. When you start hearing murmurs and people are really doubting you, that's what they should use. They should use that as drive. As like, all right, let's go. He should really be trying to show us what he's made of in the next game.
So Ash, which leads me on, because Brennan Johnson is part of a big debate at the moment as well with Nottingham Forest and FFP, right? And we're the only club that seems to have spent in this transfer window. So we're going on to the transfers now, right? And my question to you is, do you think we'll spend any more, right? Do you think FFP, teams that get done by FFP should their points get taken off during the season? Or should they wait until the next season when the season starts again? Because at the moment, you've got teams like Luton. I'm just taking Luton as a prime example. Will not know if another team gets hit. Will not know if they're planning for the Premier League next year or whatnot, because they're not having to play any games. They could end up not playing any games, and 3 teams get relegated because they're FFP because of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the only reason why Spurs have been active. The only club that's been active at the moment, because all the other clubs, they're trying to consider their wages, how much they've got, how much they spent in previous windows, how much they spent in this window. And they're saying if you spend over a certain amount and your club's in some type of debt, then you're going to incur some type of penalties. So I think that's the reason why we're the only club spending at the moment. And I did hear Daniel Levy speak about that a while back saying, you know, you wait, Man City, you're going to be in trouble. You wait, Chelsea, you're going to be in trouble. I remember he was bigging up his chest. He had his nipples fully out with the tassels on. Right, Levy, calm down. So I think it's mad. I think right now we could either spend some money in January, but I'm not sure if we're waiting to the summer to see what the landscape is before we go big in summer, as opposed to like trying to spend money now in January, and there could be potential clubs that couldn't spend in the summer, and then all of a sudden like a real quality player becomes available and we're able to spend that money. Because from what I'm hearing and understanding from what I've read, it's not just Everton and Nottingham Forest that could be in trouble. You could have the likes of Wolverhampton, they could be in trouble. You could have other clubs that could be Man United. They're in a lot of, you know, financial disarray at the moment. You know, their club's a mess. Newcastle, even though they've got like a sugar daddy owner, they're not able to spend it on natural transfers because they've got to sort out their wage for structure. Like, you know, that's the reason why they couldn't even buy Maddison, because Maddison was asking for certain wages and they were like, right, you know what? We can't even pattern up. We can't even do that. So we might be able to take advantage.
So, but quick question though on that. You say take advantage, right? But if the teams can't spend, then that mean a lot of them might not sell either. So even though we've got this money to spend, we might not be able to get players out of clubs.
The thing is, Marlon, I think personally that the market's just a bit dead right now. That's all it is. I think there's just not that many good players available for sale, or even the players that are good. Teams are asking silly prices like 80 mil, 90 mil.
Well, this is the question, because if they're going to have to, so basically with the FFP, if they're going to have to try and rebalance their books, it doesn't generally mean a player is going to be cheaper. It might mean that actually they're looking to rebalance their books and might think, let's take Brennan Johnson for a prime example, where they were going to sell him to Brentford for 30, I think it was 35 million. Ended up selling it, ended up waiting, right, which they kind of got in trouble for, and told him to ask for 47 million. So how does it all work out in the end?
I think eventually the market's going to balance out where the prices and fees will have to get lower because of FFP, because teams just aren't going to be able to spend what has been demanded over the past season or so. And I feel like there is a lot of teams that could potentially be affected, like you said, but with that, they're going to be forced to sell players that are of homegrown or players that have come through the academy. So they're all going to have to sell, because they're going to want to sell players that aren't, who they haven't signed recently, because those players haven't amortized yet. And so they're going to want to sell players that have been at the club for long. And it, like you said, the likes of Nottingham Forest, Morgan Gibbs-White, that's a great shout. They're going to have to sell a player like him who they brought in for quite a bit of money, tried to recoup that money back from another team. And I feel like there'll be a lot of gems out there going, but we'll have to wait till summer, like you said.
Yeah. I think January as well. Do you know, it's January. No one's really selling too much in January, you know?
Yeah.
I
was going to say as well, it might be a case of where Spurs are trying to be patient, wait till the summer, because some of the contracts are running down for key players. Now, everyone's interested in a player called Conor Gallagher of Chelsea. He's their captain. And they're in a situation at the moment where FFP is affecting them, but they're no longer offering him a major contract. So it could be a case of Spurs saying, you know what, instead of us going all out now and paying the higher fee that Chelsea want, like 50 to 60 million, we'll wait for the player to run his contract down and then we will buy him. And so maybe that's the reason why we're looking at cheaper options at the moment, because like you said, if Palace now all of a sudden, you know, Eze's worth 70 million or Olise's worth 70 to 80 million, that's like 150 million that we spent on our budget when we still need a centre forward. You see what I'm trying to say? Or we still need an 8 or a 6. Do you know what I mean? For squad depth. So I think Spurs are trying to be a little bit patient and trying to be a bit wise, because it is a risk. You never know if a player is going to work in your system, in your team. Like, yeah, go buy Elise this January. Let's do it. Let's go win the league. Let's buy Elise. But who's to say that if we waited and looked in the championship, because remember, Elise and Eze, they came from the championship. Why don't we do what Palace are doing and buy those players that were from the Championship and then raise them up the same way they did. Wouldn't that make more sense? And then if other teams were like, Real Madrid came along, was like, you've got a player that we like, then we could flip that player, sell him for 100 mil. Like, you know how Levy's tight with that. Boom, 100 mil. Then we collect the P's and then we just send that for another player, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, actually, and Ash brings up a great point. And Brains, I want to bring you on first, right? Conor Gallagher, for some reason, is being linked with Spurs from Chelsea. Not sure why, but he is, and it don't seem to be going away. So it must have some legs from somewhere.
Yeah, it's weird though. I just like, so his family are absolute true blues. He's a Chelsea lifer. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want any part of it at all. So this is like, there's a potential deal that can be done. But for me, it's a case of like he's going to go somewhere where he's going to play, right? Now, if our team, if we've got some marquee midfielders, who does he get in ahead of? Who does Conor Gallagher? Does he get in ahead of Bentancur? No. Madison? No. Basuma? No. Sarr? No. Kulusevski? No. Like, who does he get in ahead of? Gio? No, probably. No, he probably gets ahead of Gio, right? Because Gio's never here. But no, I think he's going to go. He'd have to go somewhere just for who he is, and it's like I just can't see. I see that what Ash is saying is, you got like a Wharton, a Hayden Hackney, that type of player who's got the whole world ahead of them. Go and get them. What we should have done with Alex Scott, we should have went and got that guy 15 at the time, or 15 million. Then we kind of turned our noses up at 25 million. Then he turns up and scores against us, So it's like, and these are players with all the world ahead of them. We should be sniffing those players out and then selling them on, and that's how you make money in the game. It's like, we've got marquee players. We don't need another marquee player in the midfield, do we? So
I just wanted to say on that. I know a lot of people are saying we should go. Like, I get if we're gonna sign someone now, it sort of makes sense to bring someone in. But if we are going out and not signing anyone now in the summer, I don't know if anyone's talking about that. When we're talking about Championship players, if anyone's keeping an eye on Alfie Devine, but he's been balling out this season. I think he's been class in the Championship. I've seen some performances he's had, completely dominating that midfield and just controlling games in that deep line playmaker position. So I don't see any reason why he can't start to get bled into the first team next season as an option, especially in that 8 hybrid 10, because we know we get a lot of injuries. There's going to be a lot of games to play, especially when we're in Europe and playing Carabao Cup. So we're going to need all the players we can get. So I definitely think he's an option that we can look to bleed through the team next season.
Yeah, I think it's Højbjerg out. I think it's probably Gio out, and I think it's probably Skip out. And then you got Alfie can come back in, and then you can get a Wharton or a Hayden Hackney, and you know what I mean. And then you've got your marquee players, you've got your main players, and obviously there's going to be a injury crisis. But then you've got like quality youth that can really come in and ball. So I think that's the smarter route. I think that's probably the line of thinking that Lange and Levy are probably looking down that road of things, I think.
Jamie, a little bit on Conor Gallagher, right? So, because I said I didn't get it. I don't get why we're trying to sign him, right? But someone sent me this and said, Conor Gallagher is the only player in Europe's 5 big leagues to have 20 plus shots, 20 plus chances created, 20 plus dribbles completed, 20 plus touches in the opposition box, 20 plus on duels won, 20 plus tackles, and 20 interceptions, right? And my answer to that was, well, he's got 0 goals and 4 assists to show for it.
That was my question. How many goals, how many assists?
Yeah, well, so for me, so if he's doing all that, is it worthless work? Is it ineffective?
I agree with Brennan said, where's he going to fit in? Like, what?
It's a great question.
Chelsea don't want to sell him to us. And if they do, they're going to pull our pants down. They add another 10, 15 million on top of it. So instantly, we're paying over the odds for him. But he's homegrown, he's international. So that, I can see that side of it. But who's it getting in front of, really? Like, our midfield is solid. It's as strong as it is. We have some depth in there as well. I think we're going to keep Skip. I think Højbjerg's going to go for it. That's obvious to see. The Celso, I don't know yet. Gallagher, I mean, from what I hear about our youth system, because I can't really comment too much to say here or what, when we buy players from the Championship, I'm a bit skeptical, me personally, because it's a major step up. You know, how many people have come up and not performed? There's a select few that have come up and done really well. So I'm pretty content with what we've got now.
Jamie, are you thinking about Rodon and Spence right now? Is that the reason why you're going down that route?
Yeah, definitely. But Rodon's doing all right though, so you have to give me his flowers. He's doing all right in a minute. But I just thought that when we start bringing these players up, they come with such a, do you know what I mean? An expectation, you know. Look at Skip in the Championship when he was younger. He was an absolute beast in the Championship.
Yeah, player of the season.
Beast. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I think we've got to take each individual case slightly different, but Gallagher for me is an absolute no. I don't rate him at all. I think if he didn't play for Chelsea, he'd be nowhere near the England team. If he played for Chelsea, saying that Gallagher at Palace was decent, you know what I mean? Because he stood out in a poor team. You know, he stood out in a poor team. But Gallagher not playing for Chelsea, he's nowhere near the England team. Gallagher's not English, and nowhere near he's worth 50-60 million. You know, facts. But I don't think they're going to get him personally. If we do, I think it's a big mistake.
Jamie brings up a great point, right? So he said at Palace he did well. So for us, if we're looking at Palace, and people can tell me if I'm wrong or not, that he was playing in the Maddison role. Yeah. So the question is, does he get in front of Maddison? That's the first question. But then you hear a lot of Spurs fans going, right, in an Ange system, he will work, right? And I'm looking at it going, okay, but then you're asking him to play the Sarr role. Can he play the Sarr role? He hasn't played that role for Chelsea. When he has played when he has lied deeper, personally, I don't think he's even played well in that position. I don't think he does what Sarr does.
Yeah.
What's your feelings on it? Because obviously at Palace, he did do well. I'm not going to deny that. He did do well, but it was in a Maddison role. We've got two players ahead of him, in my eyes.
I think the argument for the people that want Conor Gallagher is that every player has this role. Not every player is going to be super flashy or stylistic. It's an important cog for the wheel, if that makes sense. So you need squad depth. Sometimes Sarr, he might be out. You never know. He might get injured. And if Bentancur's holding the 6 or Basuma's holding the 6, they want an equal in that 8 position, if that makes sense. So the quality doesn't drop down so much. So I think with Conor Gallagher, they're looking at him that in terms of covering ground, in terms of being tenacious, like winning tackles, and his overall like passing, like short passing, medium passing, long passing, I think that's where fans are looking at him. They're not really looking at him for like the shots, the that kind of attacking prowess. That ideally you want that for an 8. You want a box to box. You kind of want that. Do you know what I mean? But I think how they're looking at it, Højbjerg goes, Skip is not quite where Sarr is. Gallagher would be a good squad rotation. However, I'm just going to deviate a little bit because we have been linked with another player.
Hold on, before you carry on, I just want to answer this question here from Stel, right? Because he says you can't put negativity when he's setting up Jackson, right? But like a bum like Jackson. But Stel, you don't like none of our front three. You think they're bums too. So he's coming in to be linking up with bums like Richarlison, Johnson, and Timo Werner. So again, it makes no sense because if he's doing that, like Sterling, Jackson, and Cole Palmer. When you look at this, if you look at those three, Richarlison and Richarlison and Johnson. Forget Werner for a second. Haven't got more goals than those. So it's only Son really that you're looking at going, he's got 12. Yes, Nicola Jackson's got 3 against Spurs, but I think he's only scored 5. So you're looking at it going, so he's coming to Spurs to do the exact same job he's doing at Chelsea. If he's not doing it for Chelsea, how's he going to do it for Spurs? Is the question. That's my only question.
I do.
Yeah. And still come back.
I think the main thing is the amount of money spent on him. Like, he's not
as well.
40 million.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest
if
thing.
it was 20 or 25 million, I think it's a good replacement for Højbjerg because, like you said, he can do a lot of things. He can play in multiple positions. And I do think that he would improve playing in a more fluent team, a more settled system. Because let's be honest, a lot of players aren't performing in Chelsea's system right now.
Exactly.
Not saying that like. Some players are. Some players, whether you're good or not, you're going to shine. And he has shined at moments. But I definitely do think that if he did come to our team, he would improve. I do think that.
But is he going to play? That's going to be the question.
Predicting going to make
he will play, but will he play as many minutes as he's getting at Chelsea?
That's what I'm saying. If it was a cheap signing, it makes sense.
If it's cheap, yeah. Look, if it's cheap, I get it. But I'm not putting him ahead of Sarr. I'm not putting him ahead of Bentancur. I'm not putting him ahead of Basuma. Not putting him ahead of Madison, and I'm not putting him ahead of Kulu. So he's.
I'm not putting him ahead of Alfie Devine when he returns.
And there's that possibility. Does he stop Alfie Devine's development?
I think he does. Or like Skip. You see, Skip could get better if we give it. If we've got more games next season, we've got like cup runs, Europe. Then we could be giving players a chance to develop with the other players. So I don't know, man. We're gonna get our asses spanked for a player for 50 million when he's gonna come and be at best 4th or 5th rotation. Makes no sense to me at all.
No, it makes no sense to me. And even for a bench player, that's a lot to be spent. Like, I think we could go get better. If we're meant to be recruiting this whole data system, we can go probably find a player half the price somewhere in Europe or somewhere in Asia or anywhere who could do exactly the same job. But that's just me. But go on, Ash.
Yeah. Take this comment down for a sec. Yeah, there we go. We're actually linked to João Pedro. He's 30 million. It says there's 17.3 in transfer market. Plays defensive mid or centre mid, so he could play multiple positions in that midfield role. Plays in a 3-5-2, which is important to know that Wolves don't play in a high press attacking team. So this will affect his numbers statistically. When he was coming from Flamengo, he was in a 4-3-1-2, slightly different system. Here is some of his contributions. He created 9 big chances, 0 goals and 0 assists for it, though. But again, as I said, Wolves aren't really. I like the way they play, to be fair. But
he plays deeper, though, doesn't he?
He plays a lot deeper. But I just call him an engine. He's an engine. As you can see by his heat map, look how he's everywhere. He's everywhere.
He's really good. I've liked him this season.
Very tenacious. That's what I call. So here's his FBF ref, comparing his stats across 5 different leagues. And on the face of it, you're like, this player looks quite poor. The only thing that stands out to me is his successful take.
You know what this reminds me of? Who's FB ref? I remember seeing Brennan Johnson's FB ref look like this, and we were all like, "Nah, just ignore it. He's gonna improve." It doesn't lie. It does not lie.
You know what? I agree. But at the same token as well, you could say that with like Draguson's passing. Everyone was like, oh, Draguson's passing. No, we don't get him because he can't pass. But I'm going to say successful take-ons stand out to me, 61 percentile, so better than average. And then in terms of tackles, 98%. That's high, 98 percentile in the 5 top leagues in Europe. Blocks, 91 percentile. So in terms of winning that ball back high up the pitch, because when we played them, that's what they constantly did. I was like, how come they keep winning that ball back in midfield? How come they, even against Liverpool, when I watched them, I was like, what? They should beat them. I remember Liverpool almost lost that game, but obviously they had got the quality up top. But anyway, I looked a bit deeper and I looked at his Flamengo days because he's only been in the Prem for 1 season. Yeah. The season before when he's at Flamengo, now his FBF ref is a little bit different. I know it's a different league. But again, I look at his successful take-ons, but now I look at his pass completion, completely different.
He's playing higher up, wasn't he? He was playing more of an 8 or almost near 10, wasn't he?
Exactly. Passes attempted as well, a lot more. Maybe Gary Neal is not asking them to pass as much because I did notice that a lot of their midfielders, similar to Spurs, they're the I think either the first or second in terms of ball carries in the table. They're up there. So I think we're first and they're second, or it's the other way around in terms of dribbling, like carrying the ball up the pitch. Mm-hmm. But yeah. And I went a bit deeper again because I wanted to look at the actual stats again in terms of like touches in the penalty area. And as you said, Brains, he plays a lot higher up in the attacking third. So that shows in his metrics. Take-ons, again, successful take-ons, dribbles, carries, again, 75% are nothing to be sniffed at. So here it is in this formation. He's at Flamengo. I couldn't show the Premiership. I really wanted to show Prem videos, but there he is scoring some goals for Flamengo in that system. Here's his defending. Most of it's defending. You're going to see how tenacious this kid is. Like literally, he's I think he's 21 in this clip, 21, and he's 22 now. He's only just turned 22. But literally, if you see the way he tackles, the way he times his tackles, and the way sometimes he sprints across the pitch just to get to that player. So he's helping out that midfield, winning that ball up, and then as soon as he wins it, it goes into a player straight away. Winning the ball back for the defenders, an actual dream for the defenders as well. Everyone's looking at Paulinho from Fulham. But this guy, again, if you're looking at someone that's going to win that ball back high up the pitch or protect that back four, especially when Porro loses that ball and everyone's worried about that right-hand channel being exposed, this guy is going to have the engine, the legs to get up and down that pitch and help to support that defensive system. So here it is again, different types of tackles. He actually sometimes gets his hips across the player. He's not always just sliding and going to ground. He actually gets his hips across the person, and that's why he's able to tackle the way he is. Also sticking his foot out, so he's good at reading the game, knows when to intercept. And I don't mind him going to ground at times, because when he goes to ground, that shows that he's got that kind of old school mentality, bravery, and he's not afraid to kind of get his pants dirty. So I kind of like that in a defensive midfielder. But yeah, he's just sniffing out any danger, knows where to be positionally on the pitch. So even if he's a single pivot or in the 8, he knows how to maneuver around the pitch, where to be, so we're not exposed in that area. And again, yeah, just showing all of those tackles. Every clip here is just nipping, nip, 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 like a little pit bull terrier nipping at the heels of some player. But yeah, the next clip I've got coming up will be some of his possession stats when we see it here. Every time he does tackle as well, he is progressive. So it's not like he tackles and he's negative. Every clip I've shown here, he gets the ball and he's trying to bring that ball forward, or he's trying to pass it forward into one of our players right there. In possession, here he is. Again, dribbling, the ball sticks to his foot, puts it through the guy's legs, finds a player, and he's quite physical as well. In the South American leagues, they're not easy. So the fact that he's able to bully players, dribble, carry the ball, turn inside, turn out, have close control, sticky foot. Sometimes he uses his laces to control it. Sometimes he uses the inside of his foot. But either way, he's able to brick that ball, get out of situations, and he's press resistant. I think that's the most important thing I like about him, being press resistant and getting out of trouble. So this is a player I don't mind. Quick speed of foot, can wriggle out of players, has a bit of pace about him as well, a bit of a tenacity. And if he can, he would try to do a little through ball. Look, pirouetting again, doing the half turns, sprinting, running at defenders. And that's a lovely assist he goes there just for that last little piece. Another little assist there as well. And that is your guy, man, from Wolves. And he's 30 million as well. As I was saying, 30 million. So,
Ash, quick question. So most, like, from those clips, most of his good work was done in the middle, in that, and what looks like the Maddison role. Is he very similar to Maddison in that type, or does he more come off the wings?
I think it's more like, because he can get forward, but I think it's more box to box, if that makes sense, because his strengths is his stamina. I call him the engine. His energy, his fitness, his natural fitness, his ability to cover a lot of ground, his tackles, his interception, and his ball carrying. I think that's his strongest.
If you look at him and compare, like when we try to bring a sub on the 65th, 70th minute, and you look and you see, I used to love Højbjerg because he had that dog in him. And then you see Højbjerg on the touchline, or you see Skip, and you're just kind of like, we got nothing that's going to turn this game. You look at this guy, and it's not like he's not doing it in the Prem. He's already doing it in the Prem. He's playing in a 6, and he's amazing in a 6. His tackling is, there's a video you can watch of his season so far at Wolves, and he's just, I don't know where Wolves would be without some of his tackles this season. He's super, super strong. He's actually quite short, and yet he just gets in about people. He's got that McGinn kind of throws the ass in, knocks you off the ball type thing. So I think that's the type of quality player I would want us to bring in. Obviously, I think it is important to bring Alfie Devine back and give Alfie a go, because he's balling out right now. But I think if you want to upgrade on Skip and Højbjerg, I think, and even Lo Celso going away, because I think Gomes can play in a 10 as well. I think he can, but I think he's perfect for the 8. And I think him next to Bissouma or Bentancur working together, and then also linking the forward play. He's even if he's not the guy, he's the talent that I'd imagine us next season having as maybe not the starter, but like he could start easily, you know.
George, how are you feeling about good signing? Would he make an immediate impact for Spurs?
I'll be honest, I'd have to watch him. I haven't really watched Wolves this season. I'd love to go off the clips and sort of the stats, but I haven't really digested them enough for me to give a proper opinion. But from the
That's very sensible, George. We don't do that sensible thing around here. Our asses on the lane, and we get mudded as soon as we.
He's just genuinely a player. I've to be fair, I only heard of him like when we got linked to him. I'm not like he's not been a player I've heard like screaming or shouting from Wolves or from Wolves. The players that I've looked at and when we played him was Lamina. Immediately Pedro Neto. They're the sort of creative types of players that I was seeing. But if he's doing a good job, it's good on him. And if he can add to our team, just hopefully it's good. But guys, I've got to dip out. But thank you for having me on. It's been a very good show, and I'm definitely come back. But have a good night, man. Thank you, guys.
No problem, Jules.
Nice one, bro. Nice one. Just to carry on as well, guys.
I was going to ask you a question, Ash. Is it right in saying that Wolves are also Mal? You might know this. Are Wolves also in FFP trouble? So they're looking like they have to sell as well, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, because it was the big reason why Lopetegui left. Big reason to why they got Gary O'Neill.
They're not going to try to pull our pants down on if we try to get this guy. Like 30 seems like, you know, we could probably even start a lot lower.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. And but the only downside, because you got to say the downside as well, is his disciplinary. So sometimes he has got a red card.
South American.
you might get that in him. Do you know what I'm saying? With all those type of tackles and tenaciousness, you might get a little a booking here and there. So he did get sent off against I forget the team, but he got sent off this season basically. But there is another player in that kind of mold, but we have to go lower down the leagues, and it's in the Championship. And so the player we're also linked with is a guy called Adam Wharton.
Can I just say, shut up, Sean?
So Adam Wharton, he's played in defensive midfielder, central midfielder, and attacking midfielder. So he's played in all different roles. He played in the 4-2-3-1. My bad. Heat map there. He's all over the pitch again. So it's looking like we're looking for busy players that can cover a lot of ground, similar to Sarr, tenacious. You know, sometimes when Sarr needs to come off on the 60th minute, we need to bring on another player. We don't want that level to drop. So I think it's those type of players we're kind of looking for. And here's some of his statistics again. In terms of passes attempted, he passes quite a bit. Progressive passes, very high again. Successful take-ons, not bad. Progressive passes received, again, good. Tackles.
Are you sharing the stat screen? Because I can only see his heat map.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Let me move it on.
There you go.
Yeah, move it on, Ash. Come on. How long have you been doing this now?
I can see something different to what you guys see. Sorry. In terms of blocks, like overall defensive contributions are quite high. But yeah, let's go back over to the successful take-ons, the progressive passes stand out to me, and passes attempted stand out to me. Shot creation actions also look pretty good. They're all in the right kind of ballpark. But yeah, here he is, the goal threat. This is a goal. He hasn't got many goals. I think he's got one goal this season, but
he's another one who's playing in the in the six for them, isn't he?
He's playing for the six of them, but he has played the attacking midfield role before. But yeah, he predominantly plays in the six for them. So a lot of the chances I'm showing are not really shots. They're more like the key passes or the passes that lead to assists. I like that pass there. It's a disguise pass that kind of finds the top man. Here he's got a range of passes, short pass into feet, a switcher play to open up the pitch, a ball into feet or into the channels. He's got a ball. Sometimes he gets his head up and it's nice and low and hard, and it's straight into the player's feet. Ball over the top.
Incredible vision as well.
The half turn. Look at the half turn, and then he opens up the pitch again. And look at this pass here. Switcher play into player's feet, and it's a left foot. It's like a wonderful left foot. That's what we need for Spurs. Of someone that could just switch the player instant. First time pass, gets it out of danger, press resistant, half turn, switches the play once again. gets the ball, first touch is great, and then gets himself out of danger, even though he's being pressed. Does things at a speed of thought as well, able to hold players off and then get the pass off, beats players, uses it outside of his boot, switches the play again. And that's a big feature of his game. He likes to go over the top. He likes to switch the play, balls into the box. This is someone that can create from deep. This is what I've noticed. With that type of passer range, with that kind of cunningness, cleverness, quick forward, people that can have the vision, that can see it early. That's what you want in midfield. Someone to come on and make a difference. And as you said, Brains, he's playing in the 6, but he's able to do those balls over the top like that, right into feet, into the danger area. Tackles, gets to the floor. I know it's his championship, but I'm just looking at the attributes. As I said, Palace did it before with Eze and Elise. Why can't we? Do you know what I mean? If we get the right type of quality. Again, interception, winning the ball, reading the game, in between the player, good there, he's not afraid to get his pants dirty, goes to ground, but at the same time, he knows where to be in between, stops that ball from coming in, passes it. And yeah, just generally good at defending. That's what you want in your 6/8. You want a player that can play multiple positions, but they're also tactically aware. They know where to be a pitch. They're not going to leave spaces open, but they're able to help their teammates get back, win those balls back, and tidy up. And he's got that in abundance. Possession wise, he's very, like I said before, he's really good on ball, good at dribbling, keeps the ball close to his body, and then he always finds a pass. He always gets on that half turn, pirouettes out of that position, and can beat a defender left, right, drop the shoulder, progress that ball by dribbling and just carrying that ball. And when he wants to, 2-3 players can surround him, but he still looks comfortable. The thing I like about him is his bravery. He's very brave on the ball, and he's able to use his strength. He doesn't look big, but he uses his body in a way that he can show how much strength he actually has on the ball. So this is someone I would like to, if we were to go for him, I would assume that we would personally buy him and then loan him back. I think that's what Lange has been brought in to do, because Ramsey was brought in at Aston Villa, and he got those younger players in. He scouted the Championship. He scouted high and wide. And so if Lange is picking out players like this, I think it'll be a good move for us rather than spending.
Do you think then that, say, I think you probably have Hayden Hackney as well? Or
yeah, I'll play him next.
Yeah, but so say you've got like, do you think it's a case of do something like that where like bring in say whichever one of the three, like bring in one to be the rotation, 8 or 6, but then buy the other one and let them go back or let them develop a little further. You know what I mean? So that you are buying in, and then at mid-season you can bring them back or whatever.
Exactly. A bit like what we did with our other players. And I think it's a tactic where we're like, with Sarr, we loaned them out, we brought him back, and then we slowly bled him in. Porro was on loan. Obviously, we didn't loan him out to another team, but I'm just saying the loan situation, that's something we keep doing. Another player I want to talk about is Hackney real quickly. Yeah. Linked with him, Hayden Hackney. Just for those who haven't seen them, obviously they're in a good cup run. He plays in a similar position to Adam Wharton, plays in the 4-2-3-1. His heat map is very busy. Again, if you just look at his FBF ref is in the 5. Sorry, if I look at his statistics, progressive passing, 92 percentile. Again, pass completion, 92 percentile. Again, passes attempted, 96 percentile. So he passes quite a bit, even more than the guy we saw previously. Progressive carries, 87 percentile. Successful take-ons, again, all high, excellent. Defensive metrics aren't as high as Adam Wharton. Adam Wharton's more of a 6 between the two. I think this guy's more of an 8, if I'm being honest. Can play in the 10, can play in the cam. But again, he's not bad at tackling. So I'm just comparing the two. I think Adam Wharton's probably more defensively sound than this guy. But yeah, in terms of finishing, he's there. Obviously, he scored against Chelsea in the cup, so he can finish at that level. Here he is, just doing different finishes, side footing, getting inside the box, knowing to peel off as well. That's something that I want to see from my attackers, peeling off. Great shot there as well. Through balls there, he's got those key passes in. He's got those balls over the top. That's what I like to see as well.
Yeah, he's very creative.
Very creative. You can get really direct at times. Sometimes you need to get a player that's just got that attacking mindset, and they're not afraid to play that pass. And it's not even just like a Hollywood pass. It's a thing where he does it with such precision and accuracy that he can get away with passing those balls. You see De Bruyne do it all the time. Those type of balls over the top, diagonals, into feet. That's what he's got in his locker. I know it's championship level, and people are going to like make the comparison with Skip and that, but I don't think Skip was showing this level of passing into feet, over the top, into feet. Different types of disguise passing as well, dribbling as well. I think that's the difference. I like a player that not can only just pass, but he can also carry. But here, there's a lot of clips of him showing his passing range, his creativity, passing in the final third, breaking the lines, getting on the ball, making things happen. And again, he's able to do the half turn, play from deep, and kind of dictate from those passes. When you've got midfielders that can dictate from that level, that makes you a very a dangerous side to play against, and a dangerous opponent to have as well in your team. So yeah, again here dribbling, I think this is one of his strengths. Able to get out of pressed moments. He's able to do the half turn as well, tackles and interceptions. Again, he's able to get down and dirty. So he's not shy for that, and that's what you want from your midfielder. You want an all-around kind of midfielder player. So those are the two players that are quite similar. We're both after both of them from the championship, and they can both play 6-8 or the cam, which is very interesting.
And I don't think it's anything to be sniffed at that they're coming from the championship, because Grealish was there until he came up to the Prem.
I was a massive fan of Grealish in the championship.
I've got a question though. No, but with Grealish, he played Premier League football before he went down with Villa, and he stayed at 1. But with Spurs, and this is the only thing that I'm going to ask is, we've been burnt by championship players coming into us before. Like I mentioned, Spence and Rodon. Phillips has just gone back out. Jack Clark, who's doing wonders for someone. He's been doing linked with West Ham. And you said you compared him to Skip a minute ago, right?
Yeah.
But my thing to you would be Harry Winks. Harry Winks is killing it in the championship with Leicester, but when he was at Spurs, and he's got a passing range in this, that, and the other. So what makes these slightly different?
The difference is Winks couldn't play the 6. I think Winks was played. I said it before. I think I was on a show and I got laughed at. I said Winks are being played out of position. I was like, Ash, we had all respect to you until you said about Winks playing progressive passes, blah blah blah.
No, but he can.
But I think the difference
when he can play it forward.
yeah. But I think the difference with these kids, they're tough on the tackles, they're physical, they're press resistant. I think that's the key metric. That's what I'm looking at. When these players are getting balls at speed into feet, they're able to get out of trouble. So they can either get out of trouble by doing short passing, medium passing, or long passing, and it turns into attack. And Ange, from what I understand, likes players that can progress the ball forward at any point. So even when you're getting pressed, he doesn't want you to go backwards or sideways. He wants you to go forwards. I think that's the big key. And even Phil P did mention the whole Dele Alli thing. That was interesting.
But the thing as well, Marlon, like I
Dele was League One though, not Championship. Brains.
Even better.
I think the really interesting thing is that, you know, in the past, you know, like when we turned to the Championship in the past, it felt like we were just, you know, like hit and hope type thing. It didn't feel like we had a plan for players coming in. This feels like you're looking at these players and you're like, oh, this is what we miss. You know, like when Bentancur goes off, or when Maddison isn't there, or when like Bissouma's not available in the 6. These are it looks like we're looking for players who fill the attributes that Ange needs in specific positions. So I can see like a Hayden Hackney being the guy who goes alongside Maddison, who also does a little bit of the hard work coming back, but also kind of complements him really well, who could also play his position. And then you got like a Wharton who could do the Bissouma, who could do the Bentancur. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. It's like this season, we just see whenever Bentancur isn't there, it's like we don't have a player like him. Same with Bissouma, it's like we don't have a player like him. But then now it's like, well, that's we need to get young guys who can come in and play off them. Like say you brought both of them in and you go, okay, Bentancur, you look after this kid. You like nurture this kid because he's your rotation. And then like Wharton, you come and play along Bissouma, and the two of you like build together, you know? Like that's what I'd love to see. Like we have players coming in in lieu of playing, actually getting time, starting games, and so we can rotate these marquee players out.
Well, just to answer that question, we talk football. It's roughly between 25. Wharton's 20 million, and Hackney is between 25 and 30 million, depending how well he does in his cup runs. I think it's depending on whether he goes in the January or if we wait till summer to activate or go for him in that player. But there's another player, because I do pick up on that point that you said, multi-faceted, no, multi-purpose or multifunctional is the word I'm looking for, where a player doesn't just play one position, because before we were looking at players could play only one position. This player here, again, can play 3 different positions, and he comes from Norwich. His name is Jonathan Rowe. I've been linked with him today. Alistair Gold brought him up. Again, around 20 million. I know it says 5 million here in transfer market, but I'm going to go with inflate his place 3 times. I know Manchester United and other clubs are looking at him as well, because, again, I think the reason why we're looking at these championship players is to get around the wages, bring the wages down, and so it doesn't about us in the end. He plays in the left wing predominantly, but has played in the attacking midfield and in the right wing as well. Just going again, he's got 11 goals this season with 2 assists. But I think since making this stat up, I think he scored a goal and another assist. So I think he's got 12 goals and 3 assists. So somewhat of a purple patch at the moment, but loads of clubs are sending scouts right down there. But yeah, here he is. Again, first goal inside, coming inside that channel and scoring with his right foot in the top corner, wriggling away from players and still gets his shots off. 4 or 5 players surrounding him. Inside, jinks left, right, and then able to get his shot off on his weaker foot, on his left foot. Again, gets on that right foot, is able to finish, losing his balance there a little bit. But again, in the box, headering. Remember, this guy is not a striker, guys. This is not a striker. But he's in the box. He's in there centrally. He's looking like a target man. He's winning that header. He's able to get that leap. He's able to get the finish in central areas and wide areas. And he's just popping up all over the box, hitting the volleys, side foot, laces, different types of finish. Here he is, scoring at a tight angle. Look at that. Crazy. Pure power. And again, just getting the rebound there, just finishing that shot. All different types of finishes here. Left foot, top corner, top bins, power, curl, finesse. Getting in the box and just finishing near post finishes as well. Dribbling, getting to the byline, cutting it back, getting in between 2 defenders, wriggling his way out, coming inside, going in the middle, going out wide. First touch under, out of his feet, controls of the sole foot, finds a player. And again, dribbling with his laces, going on the outside, taking the defenders with him, going left, right, 2 or 3 players. He's committing. That's what you need. A dribbler that can commit 2 or 3 players, maybe win a foul, high up the pitch, get into the byline, cutting back, come in center of the pitch, dropping the shoulder, doing a little steppy, going on the outside. Good footballer, going inside, winning fouls, winning free kicks. Again, very quick, fast with his mind as well. So he's quickly making his mind up. First touch, does a half-turn pirouettes, and he's just able to get away from his player each time. He's just a handful, not just inside the box, but outside the box. So attacking transitions, he's the one that starts it. He's the one picking the ball up, winning that ball high up, winning those free kicks. Assists here, he's got a little through ball to get a nice little finish. Again, cuts on his right foot, is able to do a little pass inside, goes in across the box. Again, finishing, the person hits the post, goes across the box. That this time the striker finishes it. And he's just running at the heart of defenders, but he's got that pass as well, the good weight of pass, where he doesn't overhit and he's able to find his teammates. So that is the reason why we're probably looking at some of these players, Jonathan Rowe.
Is there a solid link for him? Yeah.
Yeah. Alistair Gold came out today, and he said he's a player that we're actually looking at. So
that's like a player we don't have right now. We don't have a guy who's going to run right into the heart. We're trying to get the wingers to go down and get to the byline and cut back, but we don't really have someone who just. I thought Manor Solomon was going to be more, up for just running straight at his man. We just don't really have a guy who looks like they enjoy running at a guy. Who looks like they want to do step over stuff, beat a man. That's really exciting for us to watch as fans. We don't have a guy like that.
Yeah, I agree.
So, question, Ash, right? Because you were talking through that, right?
Yeah.
And we'll go back to the summer when we were linked with Brennan Johnson, right? Yeah. And we were showing championship stuff then.
Yeah.
Right? I'm pretty sure most of the stuff you said was pretty similar. Right? And look, and we've seen what Brennan Johnson
I thought I was very accurate about Brennan Johnson.
You was.
Brennan Johnson, I said, with all his attributes and abilities, in terms of finishing, you can't finish. That was my critique of him.
Yeah. But we saw similar things. Like what I'm saying is, in the videos when we saw him in the championship, we saw him taking on players, we saw him running, we saw him do this, we saw him do that. So what makes this What makes this guy completely different?
For me, it's down to the scouts now. This, like, I've done my part. No, I'm joking. Basically, it's down to the scouts now.
Yeah, I'm the manager. I'm questioning you now. Come on.
No, it's down to the scouts to figure out how his mental is, how his mentality is. Do you know what I'm saying? And I know people are going to say, how do you test that? How do you find out? How are you going to know? They're going to have certain questions.
Get him on the phone with Ange. He'll figure it out.
We're going to have 2 minutes.
I saw a video of Sean Dyche. He was on, I forgot the name of the scouting report. But basically, he's on it's a scouting report, and he's having an interview, a masterclass. He was doing a masterclass. It's on YouTube. And he says he puts all the players on psychological, he gives them a questionnaire. And these questions, he gets to find out about your players, just to understand them. So I would like to see that from Ange or from the team. I want them to do their thorough research. I want to know if it's just a purple patch or whatnot. And the scouts have to go down there and they have to look at him and have to look at him properly and say, look, is this someone? Because it's going to be a risk at the end of the day. But at the same time, looking at some of his attributes, and you're thinking, as Brains was saying, a player that can run in at the heart of the pitch, central and wide as well, and finish with that ability. We just don't know. You just never know. It's always going to be a gamble when looking at these players. But again,
I would like to see us, like, we do have at the start of the season we said, like, look, if our first 11 gets out, we're going to beat anyone. And then we went on a tear, 10 games unbeaten. With our first 11, I think we can beat anyone in this league. So what then it's going to be hard then, and it doesn't make any sense if you're just looking for marquee. Like, you can't do it, right? Because you need to nurture that 11. Yeah. So you need a balance of when you take someone out, you can't have that 11 play and then on comes Skip. Skip's going to get annihilated because he just doesn't do things that those players do. So you need to have these young players coming up from the championship, or there isn't. You're not going to break the bank on that you can develop with Ange with these great players. I would much so. And as a non-marquee players who are okay to come up to this is their big shot. Ride the bench for a while. Come on, get 10 minutes here. And want to impress. And want to be box office. Like, come on and have a big impact. But then I still think all that just opens up for you to just get that one more marquee position. And for me, that is the striker. I like I said, I gave Richarlison my man of the match of the day. But for a number 9 playing for Spurs, a team that's perennially, going for top 4, a team that now needs to challenge, our number 9 has to score 25 goals a season. Our number 9 must minimal get 15 to 20 goals, minimal a season. So at the end of this season, I think Richarlison can be the backup striker. And, I'd like to see Sonny in the center, but I think you have to go and get a born striker, someone who is knocking goals and 2-3 goals a game, not just 1 goal a game when they're on their purple patch. That's Richarlison on a purple patch getting 1 goal and then working hard. You want a guy in knocking every single chance in, so
you want a striker that can play football. That's a good footballer. Yeah, that's basically what you want. And someone that's clinical when they're in that kind of acute angle, they can finish. Do you know what I mean? Or they can create chances by themselves. I know, like, in the system with Ange, you kind of just need a kind of workhorse that kind of runs in that middle. And sometimes, they're just pulling players away. You know what I'm saying? So they're just doing it for the team. But really, we want a striker that can create on his own as well. When the games are really tight against those top 4 teams.
Make something happen. Yeah.
Make something happen. Like a player that, some people say a moments guy, but at the same time, he's consistent.
Have you looked at any players on who do you think that is? Are you thinking about Santiago Gimenez, or are you thinking about have we let go of the Vlahovic, or are players like that just not needed? Is it more a case of someone like a Pedro from João Pedro from Brighton, like someone that's just gonna be the guy that's going to get in? Or do we break the bank and go for a Evan Ferguson or someone like that, someone who's going to be a lot of money, but I just can't see us spending a lot of money on a marquee position. So this is why I would like us to go for maybe get a 20 max, 30 max on the midfielder guys. I think the defense were sorted.
This this is the feeling I got with Ange as well, because I thought when we got him, that was the whole thing. Like he scouted the Japanese league and Australian or Korea, like Asia market. So like he was meant to be different from our other managers, where other managers we needed that elite, you know, marquee signing, whereas Ange kind of unearths gems and then he makes it into. But me personally, I still think you need the balance where, yes, you get your mark, like the January window we had, where we spent money on 2 or 3 key positions. We actually spent where we needed to spend heavily, and then the other players we kind of just, you know, sprinkled a bit of, you know, Ange dust on it.
I think though, and where it comes to the striker, this position probably does need to be marquee if we're looking at the bigger picture here. Because let's take Arsenal as a prime example, and we can even take Liverpool to a prime example as well, right? And you know, everybody, like the only team that has a number 9 right now is Manchester City.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the reason why. Like, and we told Pep for years he needed a number 9. We forgot how good Kevin De Bruyne was when they don't have a number 9. But we all saw it in the last couple of weeks how tame they were. So, and it's a case of once they got that number 9, they went and just cleaned up the English leagues. And I think as everyone says, if Jesus wasn't in, you know, and Nketiah weren't Arsenal strikers, and they had Haaland, they'd have probably got over the line last year. And if you look at the teams that mostly win the trophies, they do that who are the man up top has to be, you know, the Harry Kanes of this world, because Harry Kane kept us above water.
And Mark, look at some of the games this season, right? We're doing really well. We're hanging in there despite a crisis. But even in this crisis, look at some of the big chances that we have not scored. You know, not being onside. 2 goals in the Brighton game. That game could have been a tie. If we don't give away pens or we don't do silly things, that game's tie. You know, or we win that game. You know,
a prime example is actually Sunday, where Højlund hasn't been. He's been misfiring all season, but let's be honest, he was known at Atlanta for scoring. Rashford the same, known for scoring. They had 2 shots and scored them. Yeah. We've gone and had to take how many, right? Like, let's take Werner. Like, we still have to include Werner in this, because the 2 chances that he missed are chances we expect him to miss when he's fit, right? It was the other bits of his game the other bits of his game that we know he's going to improve on. But Johnson can't really finish. Richarlison's not really known for his finishing. Like you said, he's going through a purple patch.
It's our weakness.
So actually, we create so many chances, but we just don't score as many. And the fact we scored 40-odd goals is that shows you what Son's been doing, really.
Yeah. We do not fix that in the summer. It is a problem. I honestly think so.
And Son's
obviously
not going to be at this level forever. There's going to be a drop off. We see it when he moves position. We see it when he gets overplayed. We see him when he gets asked too much of him. Yeah, like he's a player. Like every 7 games, you need to give him a little rest. Yeah. But the thing is, I think like especially next season, we're gonna have so many more games. Going to be challenging in Europe. Hopefully, you need a marquee guy with him.
And also, Brains, just to add to that, imagine Son had like serious competition. Like maybe his level will go up a bit more. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say. As soon as Romero heard that Jagusin was coming in, I can be there, coach, and I'm ready. I'm fit.
I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Yeah, what happened to your hamstring? I see him get him off the bus, unpacking. I thought he was meant to be injured. So I just think like when you've got quality competing against quality, the levels. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be the difference.
But this is the question that comes up a lot, and it is necessarily true. There's not many number 9s out there. Yeah. Now, we kind of have to do, what's the guy in Germany that's doing really well at the moment where he hasn't scored? Yeah, he hasn't done well for how many years, but all of a sudden he's come to light this season. Yeah. Right? So you're kind of looking for someone who's going to come in, suit the system, but can score goals. Who's a finisher? Yeah. But we are going to have to unearth somebody. But he's right. And that, to be honest, Valovic was the one I was looking at, because I think Allegri's ruined him more than anything else. So he's probably the one that I'm looking at going, he might suit Ange and actually being that number 9. And Juventus in trouble.
Pure penalty box hunter, you know. Just his job is there to put the ball in the back of net. Right. Richie has never been a guy whose job is put it in the back of the net.
Yeah.
You know?
Juventus want to give us Ilin. They don't want to give us Valovic. I'm telling you that.
But his form for Juventus has not been the same as it was for Fiorentina.
No way. Yeah, of course. There's levels to this, but I just don't think Juventus would want to sell their best striker at the
They
moment.
might have no choice.
Oh yeah,
is what I'm hoping.
The money at the moment in Europe is not really that great. So I mean, for me, like rather than just focusing on, I agree, like we need a finisher, but we need goals from all over the pitch, all over the pitch. The quality has
that looks like the modus operandi with some of the players that we're looking at is wingers that can actually score as well, and players who can do it from all over. But boy, it would be so good to just
I know.
to not be thinking what would it be like if Harry was here. Like I love the style of play. We create so many chances, but if I have to sit in the stadium through 20 minutes of the performance against Aston Villa, not scoring any of those chances, I could not believe we weren't hammering them 4-5 at halftime. Like we go ahead and lose that game. Has anyone? I just was like thinking, like, has anyone created this many chances in the first 20 minutes and gone on and lost the game? That's
Spursy.
Like, wow,
and then the West Ham game didn't make it any better. It just made it feel 10 times worse.
Yeah,
crazy, man. Dudes, I got to shoot, but I've had so much fun, and I'll definitely try to come back on. Love Molly Mal, love your takes on things. Agent provocateur with a likable agent provocateur, not like that Sean Butler. I like him too. And love these love watching these highlight reels at that speed. Everyone looks so fast. I feel like I'm watching highlight reels on speed.
Second fit more in us. That's what it is.
Absolutely. Nice one, lads. So I'm going to shoot off, but thanks for having me so much. And I'll come back on soon. And definitely
thank you
check
so
you guys all out pretty soon. Peace out, y'all.
Big up.
Great. Big up.
Peace.
And we're left with 2. We're nearly to the end anyway, so it's all right.
We're good.
But yeah, strike a bit. Do you think we'll go big in the summer on a strike, or?
You know what? It's like I don't think Ange is happy with Richarlison. I mean,
someone's asked you about Jonathan David here as well, because we did look at him in the summer.
Yeah, we did look at it somewhere. I missed the header, but I have been keeping an eye on him. And it's funny because when we were linked to Richarlison, there was a lot of links to Jonathan David at the time, and a lot of people were saying we should go for Jonathan David or we should go for Isaac. Don't go for Richarlison. Go for Isaac or Isaac, whatever you call him, or go for Jonathan David. And we went for Richarlison instead. But of course, the club have been looking at him since like Watford days. They've wanted him for a very long time. And that's the reason why we got him in. But
it not makes me laugh as well about that, because it was either Richarlison or Jesus. And the big argument last year was who was the better one. Now you're looking at this year and we're like, to be honest, they're both just as bad as each other. Like Brazil number 9s, they don't make them as they used to.
No, they don't.
It is what it is. And Richarlison, great, he's doing well now. I'm really hope he keeps this up. Because, question. I've got 2 questions before we go.
It might be the same questions I had, but go on.
One question for you, right? Right. Everybody's fit now, right? And you've seen how the season's panned out.
Yeah.
Who's your starting 11? Or who is Ange's starting 11?
I reckon it's Vicario in goal.
Hold on, before you carry on. Anyone in the chat as well? Who is starting? Everyone in the start. Who's your main starting 11 with everybody fit? Now that you've seen Bentancur back, you've seen Werner play and what he can bring and all that stuff. What is your main starting 11?
So I'm gonna go with Vicario in goal.
Yeah,
I think right back. The back line picks itself. Porro.
Yeah,
Romero,
you keep Porro right back.
Yeah, Porro.
Because a lot of people want to change him.
No, I think if you understand the way the system works, when he drops into that number 6 role alongside another 6, he helps our transitions and he helps our.
It was a bit like on Sunday, right? And I said this was the most beautiful thing. This is where you could tell the levels between people in the team.
Yeah,
but him, Romero, and Bentancur, there was a bit where I think Vicario had picked up the ball, right? Yeah. And I remember Barnaby was next to me, and heart was in his mouth, and I was all calm, and I said no because I knew the 3 that were involved. Yeah, right. They are so calm on the ball, and they're so good on it. Mm-hmm. It's not. I had nothing to worry about, and actually the 3 of them together. So, and I've always said this with Pedro Porro, Because that first 10 minutes, you're going to get that with him. You're going to get defensive frailties with him.
Yeah.
But what he brings going forward outweighs that.
Exactly. And that's the reason why he's got 7 assists this season alongside Trippier, the highest in all 5 top EuroLeague. So, yeah, Porro stays there for me, 100%. The doggy on the other side. And Van der Ven and Romero on the ball. He was that one that did that deep line pass to get it into Skip, and then Skip does the rest, passes it out to Werner puts it into Bentancur, and he finishes it.
It'll be interesting, this question, when Dragon, I'm going to call him Dragon because that's what he is, when he starts playing a bit more, to see if it changes. But carry on.
Yeah. In midfield, I'll go with, I think Bentancur will hold the 6.
Yeah.
And I think on the right it will be Sarr. Only because the engine side of him, I think that's what he has over maybe both Bentancur and Bissouma, like his ability to get up and down. Even though Bentancur is not fully fit yet, I don't think he's fully fit yet. I think he's still working his fitness.
Yeah, I
think he's in pre-season, if I'm being totally honest. But when he gets fully fit, it's going to be next levels.
Well, I think that Burnley game proved, because I thought he was very rusty, but he was still good. I still wanted him out there.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I think Bentancur at the 6. I think Sarr's on the 8 as the right, and then I think Maddison on the left as the other 8, the creative one. Yeah. Up front is Techie. It depends on who we're playing. So I think if it's a high line, I think he goes with Son up top, Werner on the left. I think Werner's really rusty. He hasn't, like I said before, he hasn't played since November, and certain times I'm like, pass inside, Rich is in. But he kind of went back certain times. So I could tell that his confidence isn't quite there yet. So I think, yeah, Werner will be on the left, Son through the middle if it's a high line, because I think Son's better in the high line. I think he attacks the team better. And then on the right, Kulusevski gets in just over Johnson, just because of...
So I asked this question on Sunday because I put Johnson there, right, because of how Ange plays. And the reason is because how many of us were moaning and Kulusevski was on the right? All of a sudden, he's gone into the middle. Okay, apart from the Forest game where he did put the crossing on the right, but as soon as he's gone into the middle, all of us are like, "Oh my god, this is Kulu. This is the Kulu we remember."
Yeah, he should never go back to the wide. But I just think, of form, I think it's hard not to include Kulu, even though
Ange loves him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's pressing from, like, remember, work rate. He loves energy bunnies. Put a battery pack in him. Call him Duracell, because he just loves that. That's why him and Sarr both get in. They both work their asses off. But I think there'll be times in the game, especially in the high line, because I did make the point that, like for me, one of the wingers go on the outside and one of them go on the inside. But yeah, I just think with Ange, if it's Ange, I'm thinking about Ange ball, I think Kulu will start there. And then what he does is he brings a different type of profile 2/3 in the game, and like a different type of winger that has different attributes. And I think that's when Johnson will come on. And as we were saying in the show before, 20 minutes, you might see a different Johnson because he's just got a burst of energy. He can just run as much as he can now, and he might be able to affect the game a bit different, like how he did against, Sheffield United, as I said before. He might be, and that might help get his confidence up, vice versa. But that's what I think. That's the front three. The front three is Werner, Son in the middle, and then Kulu out wide. But then I think if it's a low block, Rich comes in. I think that's the difference. And so, yeah, I think Johnson rotates depending on what. But yeah, you never know. He could fancy Johnson. You've got a good point. Would you do what Brains said and have Bentancur, Kulu, and 100%, bro? I watch football for the attacking. I know it doesn't make no sense. There's no pragmatism about it because, like, we'll probably be exposed.
But Maddison could play the number 8 role, couldn't he not? Because he does like to drop deep. I reckon. No, facts. No, like, so for me, Bentancur and Maddison and Kulu all at times help their fullbacks out. They all kind of drop deep. I know, like, the difference between Kulu is that he carries that ball and he floats around, but so does Maddison. They just float to where the space is. So I think at times we'll do overload on one side. When we're playing a low block team, there's more.
Sometimes we'll overload a side. So we'll make I think against Manchester United, I saw Skip, even though he was a left-sided 8, he went over to the right at times.
Yeah.
He linked up with Porro and Bentancur and Højbjerg. They all kind of made little triangles and we're passing it around. So I see wherever the space is, that's where these players are going to float into. And they know, look, if I'm central, you need to be wide. And if I'm wide, you need to be central, vice versa. So that, and I don't think the players have fully got Ange ball completely yet. I think they're still learning. But I did see on Monday, on the weekend when we played them, I felt like whoever comes in, they kind of understand the system. They kind of get it. That's what I'm seeing about this type of football. It's not like someone comes in and they feel out of place. No, they pretty much get it straight away. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, Werner, he's just come in, so he's got to learn that. He's going to need a few more weeks to catch up. And Dragusin as well. Dragusin is going to need to learn.
Same for him as well.
Going to need time to settle in. So we can't go too early on in them. But I understand why fans would do because of previous. Do you know what I mean?
Werner's always going to be like, I've always said to you, I didn't get the signing. I still don't get it now. I get he's going to improve the bench. I get that part. But what bugged me was, and I think that's been with all the signings, and that's probably where I'm still sitting at. We've been told it's data driven, it's this, it's that, and that, and it's been Paratici signings and an opportunity signings.
That's the truth. Yeah.
So I'm looking at it going, and I'm looking at Van de Ven going, he's probably the one I went, okay, he's probably data driven, but has Paratici got something? Were we looking at him before? This is the question. He's the only one that I can think of, and if I'm missing, and Brennan Johnson, they're the only two, right? And Brennan Johnson hasn't really, I turned down, lit the Premier League alight with us. Van de Ven has, but is Van de Ven someone who was linked before? It'd be interesting.
I think with Van de Ven, he wanted,
or is it a case? I think from what we said, Ange wanted him before at Celtic, didn't he?
Yeah.
So it's not. Yeah. So it's a case of actually we haven't scouted anybody apart from Brennan Johnson on data-driven stats.
It's an argument to be had
because Maddison is
as well.
Because Maddison's an opportunity signing. We know it is.
It was offered when Conte was around, and Conte didn't want him.
So this is, and that's my only qualms at the moment is we haven't gone down that route of data-driven signings, which is going to be the most interesting part.
To be fair, the players I just mentioned right now, look like Lange type of dealings from what I've seen of him in Aston Villa. He wasn't really the front man at Aston Villa. He was more of a background type of
because most of the signings that Villa have got weren't his, from what everyone's saying.
Exactly.
So it'd be interesting. It would be really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the question I was going to ask before you wrap up was, if Richarlison, would you sell him? Would you sell him in the summer if he scores between 15 and 20 goals? Does he go? Do we let him go? Would you let him go?
Chat needs to answer this one. That's a great question. If he scores 15 to 20 goals, which we kind of brought him in to do, and he didn't get the chance last year, and I think I gave him the benefit of the doubt. What bugged me this year was that he was getting the chances and wasn't finishing them. I don't know. I haven't got an answer for that.
Because at the moment, how many goal contributions is he on? I'm not even goals. Like, I know goals he's on 7, but he's got 4 assists, I think.
4 assists, I think, as well.
I think he's like 11 goal contributions.
Well, is it not more than Saka? He's got more than Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus and Nketiah as goal contributions, which they're meant to be fighting for the title and we're not. So, and he has come. Look, at the end of the day, his form in the last month or so has picked up, and when he's not playing well, he has been scoring. Right? I think his worst game in that run was Burnley in the cup, which was really weird.
It's true.
So
his worst game was Burnley. Facts.
Burnley, but
%.
If he's gonna his goal on Sunday was so important at the time, the timing of it and everything, and then his game after that. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea. He's not my cup of tea, but if he's gonna score 15 to 20 goals, and he can do that the year after, and that's the confidence we got, I don't know.
It's a hard one because you sell him, right? He's scoring 15 to 20 goals. in this league, and you sell him to a Saudi league, and then
that made me laugh. Good one, Kev G. Good one.
send him to the Saudi league, right? And we buy Jimenez from the Eredivisie, and then he doesn't score. Then it's like, whoa.
It's back to square one.
We're back to square one, basically, because we took a risk. This guy's not proven Prem. We've sold Rich Harlison. He scored 15, 20 goals for us, and now look, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Now, great question. I don't know. Ask me at the end of the season.
Man, that's why we have these debates, bro.
No. I think for me, depends how he does in the North London derby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's really weird. I judge a lot of players in the North London derby.
Right.
No matter how
it makes sense. It makes sense.
It's the one that does. It means a lot for the fans. So
Especially
So it's that happy medium. You've got to be able to play, for like be aggressive, but also be good enough as well. And that's
it shows the mentality as well. It shows the mentality of
this is why I fell in love with Harry Kane and people. I know they were good after that, but Modric and players like that, the people that used to go to that game and step up, Gareth Bale and people like that, Cole Walker. So that's usually the game where I can judge a player.
Yeah,
I don't know why. It's really weird.
It's a good metric to have. It's a good thing that most fans love you if you score against Arsenal.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I agree, man.
But yeah, tomorrow you back?
I am back indeed, man. Yeah. We've got a monster show, guys.
After last week, it's anyone tuning in tonight, please tune in for the rival show tomorrow. It was epic last week.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. Same again this week. I expect the same amount of fire, same amount of smoke. A lot of people be messaging me, so we'll see. In that, we like to leave our talking on the stream. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, rival show definitely on.
Anyway, big thank you to George who was on tonight. Instagram, I think he's Durag Diary, isn't he, on Instagram, and then for George on on X. You got Brains as well. I think he has a YouTube channel, but I don't think he posts much on it. But yeah, thanks to Brains. But you'll see mostly of him on We Are Tottenham TV. And also thanks to Jamie as well, who's in for the first hour as well, giving his views. So thank you to everyone who came on. Ash, as always, excellent.
Big up Marlon, man. Thanks again.
But as always, thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you for making the show. Thank you for all your input. You have been brilliant as per usual. You always know how to turn up for a Tuesday now. I'm liking it. But yeah, thanks to everyone who's been here for the last 2 hours, everyone who was here early on, and everyone who's come late on.
Also, the people that are watching on their TVs.
Yes.
Big yourselves up, man. I know you can't enjoy the show with the comments and stuff, but I'm like that as well. Sometimes I was watching my TV, put my feet up, and I enjoy it, man. So big up you guys as well at home watching. But if you can get in your mobile devices, please like, share, and subscribe to us. There's a lot of people that watch our show and they're not subscribing to us, so it helps us a lot. And I can bring on better guests if I get more subscribers. Sometimes they look at us and they don't rate us, man. They don't rate us, Marlon.
I know. Let's take Spurs talk show. Where is he? He should be on here. But we don't have enough subscribers for him yet.
Yeah, exactly. We're a big channel, so guys, make sure you subscribe, and then we can put more people to the sword. We can debate them, see what they got.
And even Tottenham away. Where's he? They're both of them. Listen. No, we're playing. We love you. Especially Sean. Sean, we love you, man. Don't worry.
All love, man. It's all love. Yeah.
But no, it's been excellent. Thank you all. Danny Kiriakou, late to the party as usual, right? But he needs to come in and tell us why Brennan Johnson's crap, why Timo Werner's not the one. Where is he? But no, all good. No, so you're back tomorrow. We obviously have no shows this weekend because there is no game, so we're having a week off. Depending on how many people we're linked with, we'll be back next Tuesday.
Oh, we're linked with some already. All right. Got it.
So we'll be back next Tuesday with new guests, new people. And yeah, we'll see you then. But as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Big up.